Today on Hawkeye Skunk Works, let's talk about knives. I suppose I should preface this video a little bit by first saying that I am not law enforcement, nor have I ever been law enforcement. I am not military, nor have I ever been military. I am, however, extremely pro-military and law enforcement. So take any of my views as you will when it comes to defense when I'm talking about weapons. That being said, I didn't really intend on making a knife video until later, after I got into talking about some carry weapons. This just sort of happened randomly. A couple weeks ago, I posted on Twitter and on the Facebook page something to the effect of everyday carry knives, made in America, under $50. Go. And on the Facebook page, it kind of took off pretty quickly, so I thought I would just make a video kind of touching on some of the things that were discussed there and talking about the knives that I carry. I posted that originally basically just because I was looking at my knives one day and I was bored, so I thought I would throw that up there. I put Made in America on there because I'm patriotic, sue me. And I put $50 on there just as a non-important value. Obviously the sky's the limit when it comes to knives. You know, we get to talking about American Cami or Forsaken Blade Works. Those knives, you know, those are almost pieces of art as far as I'm concerned, although from everything that I understand, they are definitely, to say that they're a weapon would be a gross understatement. I've never had my hands on one of those. If anybody has one that would like to let me do a review of it, or if one of those guys happens to see this and wants to send me one, hey, I'm not above begging, so help me out. Anyway, you know, those knives are obviously for people that are, their job is killing or keeping people from killing, and they need a serious piece of machinery like that. Anyway, that being said, let's briefly talk about, I'm going to talk about the knives that I have, and then we'll get into some more ideology and things like that when it comes to self-defense with a knife and everyday carry. So first off, I have a Kershaw Leak. I got this knife almost 10 years ago. Bought it on eBay. I think I paid about $70 for it. This one is made in America. Has the safety on the back. This one happens to have the Damascus blade finish, which basically is just a coating. It's not actually in the steel. I love this knife. I like the blade on it. I like the size. I like the feel of it. I like the finish of it. I just really like this knife a lot, and I carried this knife for several years as basically my primary knife. Now, that being said, when it comes to self-defense, would I necessarily want to use this as a defensive weapon? Maybe not. It's maybe a little bit too small. Maybe it feels a little bit too flimsy. Whether it is or isn't, I suppose, is whether to be put to the test to really know. But I like the size. I like the thinness of it. I would carry this a lot if I've got dress pants, slacks, or shorts on where I don't want to carry a massive knife. And generally, when I'm carrying this one, I have a pistol with me. So I'm not really looking to this as thinking this might need to be my defensive weapon. So, that done. Moving on, I have another Kershaw. Both of these Kershaws are assisted open. This one does not have a safety on it. This, I honestly don't remember what the model of this knife is. It is a Chinese-made one. And here's the size comparison, the best I can. The reason I bought this knife about 5 years ago, I bought it to go on a canoeing trip up in the Boundary Waters, and I wanted a knife that was bigger. I like Kershaw. I liked how they had made their knives, and I wanted something that I wasn't going to feel guilty about chopping up bait, whittling on sticks, things like that. I think I paid $25, $30 for this on eBay as well. I've had this knife sharpened once by a guy that was doing knife sharpening at an outdoor show when I paid $5, and it's pretty sharp because I had cut too many cardboard boxes with it and other things like that. The other Kershaw is probably due for sharpening, and I will probably see about maybe sending that back to Kershaw or finding a suggested retailer from them to do it. This knife I do carry if I know I'm going somewhere where I can't or it's not appropriate for the event or my wardrobe or wherever to carry a pistol. And I don't want to say I would feel comfortable using this as a defensive weapon. I don't know that I would ever feel comfortable using anything as a defensive weapon, even a pistol. Comfortable is a loaded word. Necessity, something completely else, and that's a conversation for a different day. But it fits in the hand really well. It's, you know, full size. I know that if I'm going to have this in my pocket, even if I got a pair of jeans on or something, I'm not really going to be putting anything else in that pocket because it takes up enough room. Or trying to dig something else out, it's not going to be feasible. But I love this knife. Probably my favorite knife that I've ever owned. I like it more than the Leak. I wish it was made in America. Would it make a difference on the quality? Probably not. You know, honestly, I don't know. I think they're probably made out of the same type of steel, or as close to make no difference when it comes to my needs for it. So that's the other one. Moving on to something slightly less high-tech. When I am carrying a knife on me, probably 90% of that time I am at work, and I don't need either one of those knives. Again, I realize I'm using a lot of loaded words, gray words like need, necessity, comfortable. Just kind of roll with me on it, guys, if you will. Understand what I'm trying to say. What I carry at work is a Craftsman razor blade pocket knife, because I can cut wires with it, I can scrape rust with it, I can use it as a pry bar, I can use it as a screwdriver, and when it gets dull, take the blade out, flip it around, throw it away, get a new one, whatever. And then I have another knife that I carry in a bag that I have with me almost all the time when I'm working. This is a SOG Slim Jim knife. It is assisted open also. It's extremely sharp, it's extremely thin. The catch for the locking mechanism to release it is on the back, which I prefer over the Kershaw. I don't like the Kershaw in the inside. If I have one fault with it, it's that. The reason I have found that I don't like that is I've had other knives that have the interior lock release is after a lot of opening and closing, that will actually get pushed down past the top part of the body of the knife, so you have to actually push it kind of down and away to get it to unlock instead of it sticking up a little bit. And to those guys that have those knives probably know exactly what I'm talking about, and to guys that only have knives that have the lock on the bottom or the back probably don't understand what I was just talking about there, because that was a terrible explanation. Anyway, I carry this in my bag with me. Because I like it. It's got another safety lock on the back, kind of like the Kershaw's. It's just in a different place so you can't open it. Main reason that I don't carry this on me is because when I have it in my pocket, try to get some close-up here, there is some serrations here and on the back, and they're not sharp, but I have found that no matter which arrangement I have it in my pocket, if I go to get something else out of my pocket, it chews up my hand like crazy and it rips my hand hair out, and it's not pleasant. But that's the only qualm that I really have with this knife. So it brings me on to another point that was discussed quite a bit on the Facebook post, and that was having to do with carrying tip up or tip down.
That's what she said.
Anyway, The way that I prefer to carry is how the Kershaws are set up, which is the clip on the hinged part with the tip down. And this is all going to be dependent, I suppose, on which side is your strong hand, which side is your weak hand. I'm right hand strong hand, and I carry it right hand because of two main reasons. If I'm going to just be using it as a knife, I'm going to be using it with my strong hand. If I'm going to be using it as a defensive weapon, that means it's because it's the only weapon that I have, so I don't have to worry about having a pistol in my right hand and a knife in my weak hand. Or it's because it's a last resort because the pistol didn't do its job and I don't need to worry about the pistol again. Right hand, strong hand. The reason physically, I suppose, as far as handling the knife, that I carry it on my right side, tip down, is I will try to demonstrate the best I can. I have it in my pocket. I go to pull it. My fingers are already on the pivot point of the blade. So I pull out and open. Now we get into more of the ideology of everyday carry, and obviously specifically in this case we're talking about knives. And I think the best way that I can say this is EDC is going to be dependent on your own personal definition of EDC, everyday carry. I know that mine is, and I suppose if I'm being honest with myself, everyday carry really should mean it is your carry weapon. It is your last line of defense, your only line of defense, your first line of defense, however you want to say it. It's your weapon to defend yourself. And I think it was Michael Ware on the Facebook post, who's with Controlled Chaos Arms out of Baxter, Iowa. He's pretty active on the page, and they do some awesome gunsmithing stuff. I'll put a link to their website in the description. But what he said really stuck with me, that a lot of us are putting a stigma on EDC as, he put it, everyday catch-all, which is, honestly, it's what I'm saying that this Craftsman knife is. It is my do-everything knife. I want it to be all, do all in my life. Now, I don't expect to use this as a defensive weapon, so that's kind of a caveat there. I suppose it is more of my bigger Kershaw knife because it wasn't an expensive one. I'm not afraid to cut things that I shouldn't with, that are going to maybe dull the blade. I'm not afraid to turn it over and use it as a screwdriver if I have to, and I'm not afraid of chipping up the blade because it wasn't a $100, $200 knife. Now, that goes kind of against the true everyday carry, if you will, of I shouldn't be using this to cut things with that's going to dull the blade, because that is going to prohibit some of my ability to defend myself. I want a knife that the cost, the quality, the ability, I want it to do everything. And I know that I'm probably asking too much out of it to do that. Again, all that being said, I hope it at least raised some questions with you to maybe look at your situation. Maybe it gave you some ideas of some good suggestions to give me, to give the group. I really look forward to reading comments on this, and suggestions on what knives you think fit the bill as far as an everyday catch-all, an everyday true carry, or something that falls in between, that's going to stand up to everything, that's going to be the right size, the right quality to turn screws, to open boxes, and to, you know, defend yourself, to put it mildly. We all know what a knife does, and how we would need to use one in a situation like that. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I look forward again to all the comments and suggestions. Head on over to our Facebook page. Join there. I'll get you approved ASAP. Head on over to our Twitter account and like us there, follow us there. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, check out the other videos, and there's a lot more great content coming. So again, thank you. Have a fantastic night.